God said, "Let the waters under heaven come together into a single mass, and let dry land appear." And so it was. God called the dry land earth, and the mass of the waters sea. The book of Genesis opens our minds and hearts to a process of billions of years of God's creation that then included a miraculous diversity of plant, animals, and of course, human life. Here in Simcoe County, over 1 billion years ago, the Precambrian mountains eroded to shape the land. Some 12,000 years ago, the Laurentide ice shield melted into the formation of rich waters, sands, to be followed by abundant vegetation and spaces for life to flourish. Today, a part of that landscape is the Martyrs Shrine, acreage that holds pure subterranean waters in our aquifer. Hardy forests and trees of varying age, texture, and kind. Numerous species of plant life, teeming in color and in bouquet. And various animals in the skies and down below. A living community of interdependence that provides a sacred space of pilgrimage. In this program, we take an intimate look into the living community that provides a spiritual landscape for our visitors and how it is stewarded as we explore the natural world of Martyrs Shrine. If we look back to the early 17th century, we begin to open and unravel a story of contact between two peoples in this land. The Wendat peoples, who for millennia before had lived one with nature, and the Jesuit missionaries and companions, who along the way learned to journey in these lands of new landscapes, of new kinds of animals and plants and trees. But the coming together of the Wendat peoples and the Jesuits broke open a new point of reflection that to this date in their writings we look upon to gain information into the earliest views of the landscape that we now inhabit here in the Wye Valley. Centuries ago, Jesuit French missionary Saint Jean de Brébeuf entered into these sacred lands of the Wendat people, and whilst at a break point, stood in the midst of the wood and prayed looking up to God, seeing a canopy of trees that he said was more beautiful than any cathedral he'd ever experienced in his youth. As he journeyed with the Wendat people along with his companions, other Jesuit missionaries, and the Donne, no doubt he came to understand an instinctual reality within Wendat society, a sense of connection with creation and all of life around them. No better a place to begin this examination than at the graves of Saint Jean de Brébeuf and Saint Gabriel Laumont, who in a moment of love for the people they'd come to serve embraced Christ in death and offered themselves for people they loved. As their blood poured down into the ground, one could imagine a fusion in the earth with creation about, and hope that from that is born the beauty that we will experience in this time. This fusion of grace, sacrament, and faith is most immediately felt by pilgrims as they enter the Church of St. Joseph here at Martyrs Shrine. A construct brought to life by the imagination of the first director, Father John M. Fillion, It was completed in 1925 with an exterior of stone and a wooden infrastructure that alludes to the Wendat longhouse and a ceilinged canoe, two elements important in the lives between the missionaries and the indigenous peoples. The shrine holds at its center the skull of Saint Jean de Brébeuf and relics of other martyrs, along with their images and places for people to journey with them in prayer. A closer look at the structure of this church, however, reveals Fillion's desire that nature should enter into the space. Looking to the walls, painted and carved, are images of various flora from the region. The stained glass windows, shining with the light of the sun, reveal rich colors of plants and flowers, perhaps drawing people to a deeper reflection on God's presence in creation. The entire Church of St. Joseph, fused with the story of St. Jean de Brébeuf and his companions journeying with the indigenous peoples, invite each pilgrim out, perhaps out with that sense of the sacred, to explore the natural world of Martyrs Shrine, always infused by God's living grace. Without question, the greatest commodity of the 21st century is water. Water for sale. Water made available to communities where it's not normally present. Water absent from places where it's required, largely due to our ecological crisis around the world. Here at Martyrs Shrine, we are blessed to have an aquifer, a deposit of water under the ground that comes forth from the ground in many places on the property, like this place here in the St. Therese Prayer Garden. The water from the aquifer is used to tend to the plants and trees and grass of this property in a natural way that allows the water from the earth to return to the earth. It supports the natural environment of animals and insects and fish that rely on it as their environments or the source of their food. And on another level, the water from the aquifer also acts as a symbol, participating in the prayer and grace that pilgrims receive through acts of beauty and participation with the natural environment here. Water, a source of life, a source of grace, a source of baptism, a gift from God the Creator, is something precious that we care for here at Martyrs Shrine.
Our own aquifer here at Martyrs Shrine is a truly unique and even a historic component to the site. It actually originally fed the mission of St. Marie with drinking water back in the 17th century. We still utilize it very frequent here to operate our water features, water flowers, but also in our programs with the pilgrims that come to visit here every year. We actually utilize this as our own unique holy water. The other great program that we offer with our aquifer water is actually some of the items that you can purchase in the gift shop. We actually started to work with local businesses and create things like soaps, candles, and these items are created with the use of our own water and other botanicals that are found throughout the site to make, again, a truly unique piece that you can take home with you from Martyrs Shrine.
The main value behind having our own water or having a source of water that is stable here at the Martyrs Shrine is that we can always use it. It's always available to us. As we have the largest underground storage, basically, of water in Simcoe County, we have a small lake underneath the Martyrs Shrine that is constantly filled and constantly drawn from. We draw it out of the cistern and we water the lawns, we water the plants, we use it for liturgical needs, and then it flows its way back down, back into the aquifer. So it's really reuse and recycle on the grandest scale ever. where nothing is actually lost. It comes out, does a job, and goes right back to be replenished and then come back out again. My understanding and experience of how our aquifer water or the water on site would be important for the pilgrims when they're here on site, it's more for the natural atmosphere that it provides. It shows what makes life possible. It really is the attaching link between life and death, really. It actually is water. Everything needs to have water to survive. And having a tapped source like this that we can see it and experience it is unique to an establishment or an apostolate like the Martyrs Shrine. This is out of the earth. This is natural. This was here before we controlled it to be here. And that mix with nature and how it's supposed to be, I think, is the biggest connection for the pilgrims.
Not only is the aquifer a part of the prayerful and aesthetic experience of pilgrims who come to Martyrs Shrine, but it's also an important part of our larger ecosystem here in Simcoe County. The waters of the aquifer from above and below the ground make their way slowly, feeding into this beautiful space known as the Wye River. And from that river, nourishing waters and support of life enter into the Wye Marsh on one side and make their way feeding out into Georgian Bay on the other. Pilgrims who come to the shrine have the opportunity to see this beautiful scape in which centuries ago St. John de Brébeuf and his companions saw as a sign of hope at the length of their journey coming to an end, passing through the Wye River to their mission at St. Marie. Each of us in our own way are on a journey on the water like I am here in this canoe. And the waters around us here remind us of that journey that we are all on and the nourishing life that comes as gift from God. For water truly is gift that adds to these lands and to our experience at Martyrs Shrine.
Well, it would take an exuberant amount of time to actually describe the vast variety of trees that we have here at the Martyrs Shrine, as we have a wonderful deciduous forest. We have anybody that you would expect to see in this region, in this zone region. They're all here. Everybody is present. So anything from your called out gray oak. There's a few rare specimens here on site that survived through the time of the shipbuilding, when they were all cut off this property actually and cleared from this general region. We have a lot of white pine, a lot of jack pine, many spruce. A whole section of the property is taken over by cedar trees. We have a vast variety of maples on site, both native to the area and some brought-in specimens that are here for their look. We have some very interesting and unique individuals here on site as far as our trees go. We have a very healthy forest here that is extremely well managed. The biggest thing for caring for this forest is to allow it to be. The biggest thing for a forest to thrive and be all that it possibly can be is to let nature take its course. The forest is supposed to be the deadfall falls and turns back into nutrients for the next one to come up. We try to, when we cull trees, because we do have to cut trees here at the shrine for purposes of the shrine. When we do that, we try to be very strategic as to where we're cutting and how we're cutting them out of the forest. So not to leave bare spots, but also to leave spots for things to come up and come up in better health. There is no such thing as death when it comes to a natural product like a tree. When we lose a tree, we do our very best to actually use whatever we can from the tree, from the roots all the way up to the very top of the brush. So for the most part, we cut a lot of firewood. It seems like myself at the caretaker's cottage, I have a fire stove inside. At the father's residence, there's a wood stove inside as well. So we cut all of our own trees. We split all of our own wood. We stack it all ourselves and season it properly so it's nice and ready to go, as well as using it for display items in the gift shop. We chop all of the brush up to make mulch out of it. So we use even the smallest little twigs, get reused, repurposed back onto the grounds themselves. So nothing goes to waste, including the root itself. We allow them to sprig up another tree if possible, or a bush could come from that, or even just letting the nutrients go back into the soil and be there for the next wave of whatever is going to show up, or what we plant in place to rejuvenate the site. We use as much as we possibly can in as many ways as possible. Not having pilgrims here for the 2 seasons that we didn't have pilgrims here on site had a major palatable impact on the site itself, not just with the grounds and how well they bounced back and how lush everything looked, but also in the quality of our trees. Our foliage has gone deeper and denser than before. Some of the threats that we've been facing over the last few years with our trees are substantial, actually. One we lost the battle with, in fact, the Asian ash boring beetle. I'm sure anybody that has a forest in their backyard, or anybody that's listened to the news, would have known about the Asian ash boring beetle moving through the Simcoe County and causing devastation. The beetle took over, and because of the vast size of our site, we had no help from any local or government agencies of any kind. We had to let nature take its course, allow it to just play out, and try our very best to save those that were dying. But sadly enough, our white ash here on site suffered greatly. There are a few different ways that I've experienced for myself how people come to the Martyrs Shrine specifically to spend some time in nature. A lot of, 75% of our pilgrims, they pilgrimage to here from the GTA, from Toronto, from Vaughan, from Scarborough. They don't have the opportunity usually to be that close to what nature has provided. There's one of our oldest oak trees on site. There's a mother and daughter group that come here about 7 or 8 times a season, and they just come to be with that tree. It's a beautiful specimen. It's an absolutely wonderful tree, and it's hundreds of years old. So I think, from my experience, it's the ability to be connected with nature.
Hi there, my name is Alexis. I'm the caretaker's assistant here at the Martyrs Shrine. Welcome to our nursery space. I come from a background of commercial maintenance and gardening. Previous to that, I also took care of large private estates, so I have a lot of experience taking care of a space like this, and also understand how personal it is for people to take care of them where they live and where they work. Right now in the greenhouse, you'll see that it's a little empty. I've already taken out a few hundred plants, perennials, from this space this summer, and now we've shifted into a phase of a little bit of experimentation for next season. Got a few annuals growing to see how long they're going to take to germinate, the kind of germination rates that I do get from a single seed packet, and how many plants I can grow in a short period of time in a small space. So a few other kind of interesting things that we have going on in the greenhouse are interesting tropicals. This is an alocasia. So it's not a native plant, but it's still something that's really special and thriving in this greenhouse space. Next summer, I'll be able to put this out on the site, and the visitors will be able to enjoy something kind of different and individual that we don't really get to see in a usual garden space. So that's kind of exciting. Over here, we've added these black barrels. The purpose of these is to try to help manage the costs of running the greenhouse. So these are essentially going to become heat batteries. We're going to fill them with water, lock them up, and in the wintertime, during the day, they'll absorb the heat of the sun, and then during the night, they'll radiate that heat through the greenhouse space so that we don't have to use as many resources to heat. So this is just an interesting and creative way for us to manage the greenhouse. Something else exciting that we've been able to do here in the greenhouse is a lot of propagation. I'm really excited. I didn't get a chance to do anything like that in my previous jobs. It was a lot of pack kind of planting where you go to the greenhouse and buy thousands of plants and punch them in. Here, I can actually take plants from our existing garden spaces and propagate them here in the greenhouse and just in the land outside. Some really cool ones, including the dahlias, which are kind of a high-end plant. I've really been successful in propagating here in the greenhouse. Also gives the bees a chance to be pretty happy late into the season, and all of this will find itself out onto the site, including things that I've started from seed, like geraniums, which is kind of cool. I've never really had a chance to start geraniums from seed before. I've also got a few tomatoes growing. I know it's kind of late in the season, but my idea is to be able to grow a few of the tomatoes in here and hopefully bring some produce to the fathers who live here on site. So I've got tomatoes, and I've also got some beets, carrots, and lettuce seeds to start as well. So we'll have fresh veggies for Christmas, even though it'll be the middle of winter, grown here on site.
We have about 30 different species of lily here on site, spring, summer, fall, all the way through. And we're using our greenhouse to the best of its ability to contribute to the amount of lilies we have on site. As it is the Jesuit flower, we care for it as much as possible, and we try to have as many of them on site as we can. We're trying to bring what is naturally here back. So that means a lot of locally found things, a lot of travel through nature and just going for a walk and taking a specimen and bringing it back. So taking out of the forest and putting it on the lawn is really what our goal is, to highlight what's supposed to be here.
At the borders of all of our manicured spaces, we have these types of examples of the forest coming back out. So you get the chance to see all of these things in the natural state. This thick, dense forest with all of its soft features would have been exactly the type of thing that the First Nations people would have been introducing to the Jesuit fathers.
So what we're really trying to do is to bridge the gap between overly manicured, unnatural, a fake man-made space to a cared for, loved about, and nature-given space. We're trying to bring people here for not just the religious ideas, but also to be here in the gardens, be here in the spaces. It's a beautiful, relaxing, and warm space to be. The gardens are to tell that story. I've seen some really beautiful stories of people taking moments and just being completely lost in the gardens, clearly needing to be in a peaceful location, and we have that here. The gardens just offer a really unique space to be.
Though it's commonly known that here at Martyrs Shrine we welcome thousands of pilgrims from around the world who are in and around our natural landscape, and perhaps less commonly known that there is a community of Jesuit priests that live here along with two families that labor alongside us on this site, what we often don't think about is the fact that there are many animals of various kinds that make up a part of this ecosystem here at the shrine. I am here at the papal altar where St. John Paul II came in 1984, and behind me is a painting done by Father Toby McGivern that marked that occasion. Little known to most, if you look very closely at the painting, you'll see that inside of the arm of one of the martyrs is hidden a small cat, the sort of sign that Father McGivern left in each piece of his artworks. That hidden treasure amidst the image of the martyrs is a way for us to reflect on the hidden treasure of the natural world around us here, and in particular of the presence of various animals that make up our experience of being here at Martyrs Shrine.
I've had a variety of unique experiences here at the Martyrs Shrine whilst being here, through the day, through the night, through the winter, through the summer. The animals here on site are generally quite hidden, but when there's a time of freedom and a time of peace, they do come out in the grounds quite frequently. We have deer here on site, and the turkeys and the rabbits here seem to get along like fairy tale friends, it seems, which is interesting and definitely something you're not going to see anywhere else. So being here at the shrine, we have an entire ecosystem right here in the side of the hill, just on the outside of main town Midland. Because we have the Wye River, we have the aquifer on site, we have 300 acres of property that is maintained as forest property. Given all of these different resources that we have available here at the shrine, means that we have the opportunity to give back as much as possible by allowing it to be the environment that it's supposed to be.
Centuries ago, St. John de Brébeuf, whilst walking through the woods, stopped for a moment of prayer. In that moment, he looked up to the sky and was given a vision of a large cross intermingled in the trees, and a voice from God, as he writes, telling him that there is room on that cross for all the people. A poignant message of the power of love and how love and self-giving is a crucial part of the human experience. A message that we share here at Martyrs Shrine. Note, however, that Brébeuf was in the forest for that experience, surrounded by similar landscapes that we experience today. In this program, we've had the opportunity to go and experience the various natural aspects of Martyrs Shrine. We've seen the flowers, the trees, the animals, and of course, the water that feeds them all. A gift, all that we have here, a gift from God, indeed creation. It is our hope as stewards of this land to always protect this great gift that God has given us, because of our understanding that, like in the time of Brébeuf, the intermingling of sacrament and the natural world, of landscape, both mystical and very earthly, is part of the journey of every person who seeks a deeper union with God. I thank you for joining us in this program today, and for joining us in our desire to help to protect this great heritage that we hold, this gift of God, His creation.